seems I have to appear in court sooner than we thought.
When?
Next week.
Okay. Well, now you can explain everything that happened, so that's going to help, right?
It still doesn't mean I'm going to avoid a custodial sentence, Barbara. So we need to be prepared.
No.
No matter what happens, it's going to be okay.
How can you say that?
Because we will work through it, we will. And I really need to deal with this.
No, you're not going to prison.
It's out of my hands.
But you still have to fight this, okay? Look, Dad, you have a really good lawyer, and we can explain everything that happened, and well, you and I, we just sorted things out, okay? We just need more time, Dad, please. We just need more time.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Hello, Sophie. Do you need help achieving your true radiance?
I knew you were going to ask me that. In fact, I thought you were going to ask me about flakes on my pillow. That's what I was preparing for. When I saw it, I thought, I bet Simon asked me about flaky skin on Friday.
I was pleased. I could have just started smiling. We'll come on to it. How are you? Are you okay?
Good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. No flaky skin to write home about. How about you?
Yeah, pure true radiance. Yeah.
Oh dear.
And anyway, vegan, organic. If it makes you look like Marilyn, I'm buying.
I'm having a truckload if it makes me look like her. Crikey. Yes. Sign me up.
Although she doesn't seem to be selling it from experience. She just Googled it. But there we go.
Yeah.
Each to their own. Each to their own. How are you? How's your week been?
Busy. Oh, so busy. Just work. Nothing exciting. Work, a trip to Hull, and busy. How about you?
Same. Yes. I've got a new lounge all decorated.
Oh, yes, you have. I've seen the photos. Yes, looks wonderful.
I'll go here.
It is.
I'll go. And we're on another long bank. I love May.
I know. This May's been great, hasn't it? We've been really spoiled. Yes.
Yep, God save the King. And now it's May, the end, another bank holiday, the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
The weather's good, in a good mood.
Yeah.
Although I have been awake since like really early. So I've had an 8 p.m. coffee. I'm going to regret that at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Oh no, you were on a 7 a.m. coffee run this morning. You nutter.
Yeah.
No, I was texting you and I was like, it's 8:45, I'm still in bed. You're like, I've been to town. I was like, oh my God.
I'm sorry, what build drink instant coffee?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Good question.
That's just, I go out first thing when the shop opens to buy instant coffee because I don't have it in. And then he ordered the same for me.
Oh dear. Just ask them next time before you book anybody in, just ask them what they drink and then make sure you...
As well. Pink coffee.
Oh dear.
Big jar of Gold Blend there that cost me £5 now that I'm not going to drink.
Oh dear, what you like?
Cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
Right, we're up to date, aren't we?
Yes.
And just been chatting before we started. Got a few things to say. Just a few.
Just a few. Get some stuff off our chest. This is going to be our therapy session for the week, I think.
Yeah, it is. We're going to feel so good after this. I reckon. And I felt like last week I sort of went off on one a bit on you. So
did you? What about? I can't remember.
Just afterwards during the edit, I was thinking, oh my God, it's kicking off.
I can't remember that. What were you saying?
It'll have been Eve, and I was saying I'm embargoing it, and I'm not talking about it. I'm not watching it. Yeah.
No, I didn't think you were that bad. I've heard worse. I heard worse when we had Chloe Gate. You really were fast forwarding through her, so that was bad.
These episodes are available in the past. Just go back to your podcast app at your choice. Right, before we get into the headlines and the stories of Home and Away in the past week, last call now, Sophie. Last call.
Oh yeah, for the
if you're listening, if you're listening to this episode on release day, remember 7 a.m. every Saturday. You've only got till midnight tonight to enter. And what do we need them to do?
We need you to email us, don't we? It's our email address is coastalnewspod@gmail.com, and you have to answer a question, and you're going to win a signed autograph photograph of Ziggy and Dean, signed by Sophie Dorman and Paddy O'Connor when we met them about 4 weeks ago in London. What's the question?
Really good prize, yes. So email us to Dean and Ziggy recently gave birth to a beautiful baby daughter. What is her name? And we've had quite a few entries, so thank you for everyone who's entered so far with your answers. All of them correct, I'm pleased to say. People are paying attention.
Did we get the names, or did we get? Because I was thinking we might get a few of the the pre-nickname before the baby got a name. I thought
no, we've not had that. I think we've had variations though.
Okay.
Some people have Sunday named her. They said some people have Sunday named.
Yeah. And sometimes the short version. Yeah. We'll accept both, though, won't we?
Yeah. Every entry's been accepted. Get yourselves in. You've got till midnight Saturday the 27th. Or trying to work out what month we're in. May. And I'm assuming we'll announce the winner on next week's podcast. So you'll have to tune in.
Ooh, exciting. Good luck.
Good luck. Right, do you want your headlines? Doesn't it feel like a lifetime ago since we went to London and met them? Anyway.
It's a month. I can't believe it was a month, but yeah.
It was longer.
Yes, I am ready for my headlines.
Sorry, yeah. Cash and Eden decide that they are on the same page after all.
Ooh.
Xander is sedated whilst his sister Rose hunts down his attacker, much to Marley's dismay. Marley. I don't know where that came from. Oh, God. What is up with me today?
10 minutes in and we're doing impressions already. I love it.
Marilyn needs extra cash after learning Jet is about to get married to his fiancée. Where the heck did she come from? And Justin succumbs to the idea of going to prison as his court date looms. Finally, is Flick really not happy with married life already?
Sorry, I fell asleep.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
So Cash and Eden, they're rowing over this ring, aren't they, when we rejoin them this week? This blooming ring. And if you remember, she'd gone off in a huff because she put the ring on for a joke. He couldn't remember what they'd gone on because they were smashed at the wedding. Had this big prank. We spoke about it a lot last week, didn't we? And then, everyone's calm. She's getting it off because it won't come off, and the olive oil and blah, blah, blah on her finger gets it off. And then she's sort of seen her ass a bit because he really wanted. He couldn't wait to get it off, and the bare thought of her wearing his ring and being married to her, or engaged to him at least, was like frightening for him. And she went into a bit of a weird mood with him, and I thought, oh God, I was rolling my eyes, Sophie, rolling my eyes. I thought,
I could hear it.
Now she's in a huff, feeling sensitive about it all, and I'm just thinking, come on, you're not like you said. I think what you said last week, didn't you? We're supposed to think she's not the marrying kind. She was always off the road. This isn't for her, and this is what stopped them getting back together so long. Now I've been wanting these two to get together. I've been totally into this slow burn, this slow arrival to this point. So I'm just thinking, stop jeopardizing it over stupid stuff. Obviously, it's not that I thought it was obvious anyway. It's not that he doesn't want to marry her. It's that she's wearing Jasmine's bloody ring.
Yeah, yeah,
Just me, you know.
No, I thought that as well. I thought, well, where's this all come from for a start? Because do you remember when Eden first came into the show and there was that whole, it came to light that they'd had a fling in the past and she'd basically run off, gone on tour with the band, left him behind. He'd been a bit sore about it because he was really into her. She wasn't that into him. There was this whole conversation. We kept being reminded Eden's not into serious relationships. Eden's, a one night stand kind of girl. So we were told all that. So for her to turn around and go out with Cash was a bit of a 360, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But even then, even though they're in this relationship, they've only been going out 5 minutes. They've not, they've not had the conversation. I don't know whether we've even had the "this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend" thing yet either. Like labeling.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
so new. It's like it's a hot minute since they got together. So for her to be thinking, because I think she says to him, "Don't you ever think about, or don't you ever want to marry me, or I'm not marriage material." I thought, are you really thinking about this now? Because it's kind of thrown me, because I didn't think that Eden was into marriage in the first place. And okay, yeah, she might have changed her mind, but still, it's only been like 5 minutes. So
yeah. And to me, they're still in the sort of lust in bed every second. Like you say, it's been days, hasn't it? Let's face it. I did like.
She was in a coma for a month. She was in a coma for longer than the relationships lasted.
Not about the coma. Yeah.
That's gone on longer than the relationship has, hasn't it? So.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh dear.
I'm going to say her memory goes back further than their relationship.
Yeah.
She does say there was a gorgeous her and Remy again. You can't fault it, can't you? Glorious scenes.
Yeah.
Glorious scenes. She speaks to him and she says, "I don't know why I care so much either." And he's sort of telling her, "Look, this is because he's the one for you, love.
Yeah.
You've never cared before. You never, like the stuff you're just talking about. We're supposed to believe she's the one. She's not into this, fling there. She's too chill for that. But it takes that one person to get under your skin, and you start to change, don't you? And that's what he was trying to get through to her.
Yeah.
And he's obviously gone away and sort of licked his wounds, hasn't he, round the bay, and sort of realised he's been a bit overkill. And this was probably this sort of altercation over this ring was probably what he needed to move on. This to me, like the last parting of Jasmine, and he's fully invested now in this. Like he's kept on this ring all this time, that he was literally went to give and propose to Jasmine, and she ended it. And he's kept onto it, hasn't he? That's like a representation of him and the hurt he's clinging on to, and he's now left that behind by getting rid of the ring, and he's exchanged it for something a bit more Eden. And I thought, go on lad, you've scored a right good goal there. You've won me over.
Yeah, I thought so as well. He was getting a bit Gollum with that ring and holding on to it, wasn't he? It's a bit like, come on, Cash, you need to get down the pawn shop and get that sold.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that's happened, because it kept appearing, that ring, didn't it? It popped up a couple of times recently. It was in Flick's room and she was talking to it, like to Eden, about it. It's popped up a couple of times before that even. And I kept thinking, why do we keep getting reminded of Jasmine? Like, he's moved on. So I'm glad that it's finally out of the house. It's been sold. And like you say, I'm really chuffed about the present he got her. I thought that was very Eden. Like you say, it was so her. It just cemented that sort of, feeling of them as a real couple. He knows her, he gets her, he's got her a present that she'll like.
Yeah. And I was like, you could see on her face, I was thinking, you can tell she's thinking, yeah, he does know me. He does listen to me.
Yeah.
He does want this, and I think she didn't say much, did she, other than sort of, wow, that's, but her body language did the rest for me. And I thought, he's done really well there. It far surpassed my expectations. I expected him to come groveling and the usual. And so I think he really did himself proud there.
Yeah.
Got rid of the ring. Too many bad memories, he said, didn't he? I thought,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
realised. Good
Yeah.
on them. I'm
Move
really
on.
rooting for these two. Really
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
And I don't think the trajectory that Tanya and Flick have gone on with the whole let's get married, let's settle down, you know, I don't think that's their story. And I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. But I think for them too, something different would suit. He's tried that with Jasmine and it didn't work, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with these two. I hope it's not just a 5-minute relationship, they break up over something stupid. I hope we do see this going somewhere. And like you say, it doesn't have to be a wedding and marriage and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. I think we just need to see them as a couple first, don't we? Because we've not really seen a huge amount, because it has only been 5 minutes. So we just need to see them getting on with it for a bit.
Yeah, you like Cash when he's with her. You know,
Yeah.
you know, she brings out his more fun side, his lighter side, and let's enjoy it, you know, before we start huffing going over a wedding ring, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I completely agree. Now, Xander over at the hospital has been sedated because he's like possessed. Yeah, you know, after his outburst.
Possessed. Love it. Oh dear.
What was
It's delirium. It's post-surgery anesthetic related delirium, apparently. I did Google it in the week and I've forgotten what I read now.
also known as possession.
It's basically the same symptoms as, you know, being possessed by a demon. Yeah.
I heard him call someone a wench. I thought
Oh God.
channeling some ghost from the hospital.
I was going to say some ghost from the 1900s. 1800s. I don't know. When was the word wench last used?
Unfortunately, 30 seconds ago. Yeah, he wakes up as some station master from some like outback. Again, Bree seems okay after his outburst, though. Nothing's come of that. We were a bit worried about that, wouldn't we? She got injured in the fire. Thought that was going to be something. Clearly not. You know what I mean? You know when something sounds like it's going to go somewhere, but it isn't.
Yeah.
She's not really. She's been in quite a few hospital scenes since in nurse mode. But we haven't really revisited her. She's just had an abortion. We've not really don't know how she's doing. That was like 4 episodes. We've not a clue, but we've seen her about helping other people. So I didn't think that was going to go somewhere this week, but it didn't. So we're going to have to just put a pin in that one. There's this weird thing though. Marley's come visiting. Marley's like looking after everyone. There's Mac. He was looking after. Now he's at the hospital and he wants to look after Xander and be there for Xander. And I'm a bit like, where's all this come from? I didn't even know them two did much together other than the odd surf or two. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
he's teaching him how to surf, isn't he? But I don't. Apart from that, I didn't know they were BFFs.
Yeah, same. I was really taken aback by that. You know, if I started piano lessons or something, I wouldn't go in sitting at the bedside all night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely not.
Inland UK equivalent to a surfing lesson. Piano? Quintessential.
Oh dear.
Now he's there all night, isn't he? By the bed all night. Rose isn't, and he's not happy about it, is Marley. Rose is cop mode. Now last week, I said to you, and I've listened back to the app this afternoon to make sure what I said before we come on.
Really?
Yeah, I said to you, well, this part anyway. I said I sort of agree. I can't really get on board with the whole eye for an eye revenge cop mindset. You know, like I think I said to you, I feel like there's a time and a place for it. It's not that evening, you know, after he's been sedated and he's really poorly. You know, it's like in a week or two, once he's, you know, your brother's stable and you go and do it. I couldn't quite grasp why she was gunning for him, you know, and was beelining for it. But as I was sort of convinced as this week's unfolded, and she's had to explain it a few times to people, and people have understood the cop thought, and there was a scene with Cash, and Cash was like, well, you are a cop, that's how you think. People don't understand it. I thought, okay, maybe I jumped the gun a bit, with my initial assessment of that. Is that what Marley's done? Is it just him misunderstanding a cop's frame of mind? Because you said that last week.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I sort of sided with Rose. I'll be honest. I think the opinion, and we'll get onto this on Your Say in the Bay, because I've got some opinions from other people as well to talk about. But generally, the opinion has been divided between who's right and wrong here. Lots of people siding with Marley and saying, family's most important. She should have been sat by the bedside. What the hell is she thinking going off to work?
Yeah.
And then the other side of the fence is, actually she did the right thing, and that's where I'm falling down on the argument. Really, I'm siding with Rose, because I think if I was a cop and I was able to actually proactively do something while my brother's, he's been sedated, he's not going to wake up. So Marley sitting there all night was for nobody's benefit. Xander didn't know. Xander was never going to wake up. He's been sedated. They have to actually wake him up for him to be, awake again. So Marley's sat there for his own benefit, to make himself feel better, to sit there all night and then say, oh, I'm a good mate, and tap himself on the shoulder and say, like, oh, I'm such a good buddy to this guy. That's how I'm reading Marley. I think it's quite a selfish thing that he's done, even though he's trying to make out that he's, selfless. And actually, Rose, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a control freak with my work. My work is nowhere near as important as, catching murderers and what have you. But, someone touching my work at work and me not being able to do it myself, and someone else having to step in to do it, that really winds me up. So if I was a cop and I could chase down the person who would, attacked my brother and murdered his work colleague, I'd rather do that myself, do that work myself, find them myself, than leave it to someone else who maybe not as invested, doesn't care as much about catching them. Do you know what I mean? I want to be the one to do all the investigation. I want to feel like I'm doing everything I can and not just sitting on the sideline and letting someone else cock it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thinking.
Like I say, I get it. And I flipped. I know I flipped. My initial gut reaction last week when it started was, be by your brother's bed. Like, that could wait a few days, like, is he going to make it? He's part, the other one didn't.
I don't think it was that serious, though. And maybe I've read this wrong, but I think that he was only sedated because he needed to go to sleep while the anaesthetic wore off and got out of his system, because he had a bad reaction to it. His surgery went fine. His spleen had been repaired. He was not in ICU because he was critical. It was just he was sedated because they couldn't wake him up because he'd react violently because the anaesthetic was still in his system. So I don't believe he was in danger or that he was going to die.
No, I do. Once I sort of thought about it, and sort of, then I flipped, because then I thought Marley was being you've just used the word selfish. I thought it was the same. I thought it was being unfair. I mean, I thought he was trying to then guilt Rose, because he goes down to YCPD the next morning and he's like, what you doing here? It's not right. It's not do with you, actually. No. And you're trying to make her feel guilty for not being there, when everyone's got their own way of doing stuff and their own way of dealing with it. And her way of dealing with it is catching the guy who put him there, And I think you're right. She knew at that point that he was through the operation, he was through the surgery, he was going to be okay. And then she went into, like, I need to catch this guy before anything else happens sort of mode. And I think she remember that there was that other character in, who gave her the phone. Investigate with, who she spoke to at the hospital. And I think she just had to act on it fast, like it was all happening there and then it unfolded in front of her. She might have stuck around if that girl wasn't in there and she overheard that she'd done an overdose and it just sort of evidence presented itself and she ran.
I think that makes it time sensitive, doesn't it? Because if she hadn't got that lead, then she'd be starting from scratch, needle in a haystack. How's she going to track down this guy? She's got just a description of him and, nothing much else. Xander's asleep. He has to stay asleep until the anaesthetic comes out. So she can't, question him. Jamie's dead, so she can't question him. So without this girl and the mobile phone, and the contact with the drug dealer, and at any point this drug dealer could bin this phone off, and it's probably a burner phone. He could bin it off, he could get a new one. That's the trace gone. She's got to act on it now while she's got a lead.
Yeah.
If she'd left it 2 weeks, this guy might have been in the wind. So
yeah, no, you're right. And then, as this was going on, I was coming round to this realization. These scenes were playing out, and then there was another scene where we're between Marley and Cash is like, trying to say to him, she is doing it for her brother. You don't get it. Get used to it. It's part of dating a cop. This is what's going to happen. And but surely Marley sort of, this isn't for me type thing, and we're on different paths. We feel differently about a family, and I'm thinking, no, I'm actually now thinking Marley's family are way too involved. You need to, I mean, you've moved out of town, one blooming year. You need to grow up actually, and maybe your family are quite unhealthily close. And it's way too much. And I'm thinking, you've no way to judge anybody else when you're in the pockets of your sisters still at your age. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
And you're there. No, yeah,
it's true.
So I lost, that was me done then. I thought, yeah, go on, Rose, find him. She does, doesn't she? Puts him into a trap, lures him with this telephone she got from the other girl at the hospital, quickly apprehends him, and that's him done. And she's done the mission, got the guy, brother's going to be okay. He later wakes up in hospital, everything's good. So she goes back to Marley and says, right, I've got time now, I've caught the guy, everything's going to be good. And he just breaks it off with her and says, me and you are on different wavelengths, in a nutshell. Ends the relationship. And I just thought, you spitting your dummy out, nobody, including Rose, especially Rose, asked him to sit there all night by his bedside. Nobody did.
No, he took it on himself to do that, and I personally think that he did it to make himself feel better, so that he could say that he did something, pat himself on the back. Not being funny, but this is going to sound really harsh, but he sells surfboards and he does surf lessons. If he takes a few days off work to sit by someone's bedside at hospital, no one's going to really care or notice. A few people might get miffed because they missed a surfing lesson. Rose takes time off. She's a copper. She's missing out on then catching these people. She's not being proactive. She sat there by the bedside thinking, I could be going out there chasing leads. I could be investigating all the time. Xander's never going to wake up. He's been medically sedated. He's not going to just, suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, Marley, I'm so glad you're here and I'm not on my own. What happened? It's not going to happen. Marley sitting there is making absolutely no difference to Xander at the moment. I don't really get his point at all.
Being the martyr, isn't he? Like you said, I think you messed the week. Yeah. So I think he's done it in a roundabout way. He's done the right thing, and I think Rose needs to see.
I think she has been rude. I don't like the way she's spoken to. Oh God, his name's got in my head. That Marley. I don't like the way that she's spoken to him. She has been rude the way that she's spoken to him. I don't like the way he's spoken to her either. I think they've both been quite disrespectful to each other, which doesn't bode well, does it, really, for the relationship? They're not talking nicely to each other and trying to put their point across and say, look, I understand you're upset and I get that your priority is here. She's going, well, you don't agree with me. And he's going, well, I don't want to argue with you. It's like the way that they're talking to each other isn't very kind. And that's got my backup, I think.
Yeah, you're right there. I'd not really paid too much attention to that, but actually you point out, yeah, you're right. It's not a great way. It's so early on anyway.
Yeah, it's a horrible way to talk to your new love interest, really. I don't think it's very nice. I think both sides are guilty of that. I'm not blaming either one of them.
Yeah. What did you make of the scenes this evening with Marley getting advice from Irene there?
Oh, I like this. Yeah, I like it when Irene puts her, a shoulder out there for someone to lean on. Did you not feel the same?
Yeah, especially I did, especially because Xander and Rose are sort of under her wing a bit, aren't they?
Yes.
Since they arrived, sort of as an extension of Jasmine, really, because they're obviously siblings, Jasmine. although we've not seen too much of it, to be honest. But you know, she's one that they can count on and go back to time and time again. She was there for. She was there first when they arrived, first connection with anybody outside of Jasmine in the Bay. So I quite like that sort of family dynamic they sort of have going on between the three of them. And I thought it was quite interesting that Marley, who is at loggerheads with that, visited her for support. And as she was sort of questioning him, I thought, well, she doesn't agree with him either. I don't know about you. I thought she doesn't. She's sort of, in a clever way, answering his questions. You know,
yes, she was
making him realise that he's being a bit unreasonable.
Yeah, I think Irene's seen it all, though, hasn't she? She, you know, like you say, they don't go to her for advice, but she is there to give it, and she's always hovering on in the background of the diner, listening and watching the conversations. And she'd had that earlier conversation with Rose. And I don't know about you, but she was kind of giving Rose a side eye because you could tell that Rose wasn't fully opening up to it. Irene could tell there was something going on that she wasn't saying. You know, she talked about Xander, talking about the fact he was awake and it's great. And you could see Irene going, okay, girlie, there's something you're not telling me. But she didn't say it out loud at that point. And then when Marley was sat in the diner on his own, Irene clocked it and took his food over. And then she was like, oh, isn't it great about Xander? And, so good that you're there to support Rose. And he was like, yeah. And then she did that face again where she's like, yeah, I know something's going on, so come on, spit it out. And I like that side of Irene. It could come across as a bit intrusive. She's always poking her nose in and that kind of thing, but I don't think it is that. I think she genuinely cares, and when she sees someone kind of struggling but not opening up, she gives them that chance to sort of, I mean, he could have said, oh no, it's all right, I don't want to talk about it, but they always do. They always open up to Irene, don't they? And
yeah, they do. I did quite like as well that she was like, so you fallen out, you've broken it off because you think she should have stayed there and you stayed there instead. Is that it?
Is that it? Is that why you broke up? Is this petty reason the reason why? And then she said, like, she likes you, you like her, what's the problem, doll?
I really agree. We've had 3 episodes of melodrama. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I like that. I think that was a good. I like the fact that she's there for literally anybody to go and have a chat with, isn't she? I mean, I wish she'd get more than that. I wish Irene would be used to. I wish she had her own storyline and she wasn't just everyone else's agony aunt, really. But she's good.
So good.
She's good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. She is, and I would like to know she's just there.
Yeah.
And have a flat white and put the world to rights.
That's what she's there for. They come in to order their coffee and they end up coming away feeling happier or feeling like they've got advice or feeling like someone's heard them, having a rant or whatever. And that's what she's good at.
All mended.
Yeah.
Now, Jets, he's down in the city, proposed to Lindsay. Who's Lindsay?
It's Lindsay. Yeah.
So we're to assume Jet's been courting.
Well, we know he's had a girlfriend for a while because John has mentioned the girlfriend in passing when he's been, when occasionally John darts off to the city, and then we're like, where is he? And then he comes back and says, oh, went out for dinner with Jet and his girlfriend. We have heard this a few times in the past, okay. But I don't think she's been named before. I think now that she's got a name, I'm like, my ears pricked up. I was like, oh, she's got a name. She's important now.
Well, he's told she's Lindsay. That's Lindsay, welcome to the crew. And we learn through John that he's proposed to her. He's just come back from the city himself, hasn't he? And Jet and Lindsay are to be wed. It's going to be a low-key affair. They're just going to go to the registrar. They're going to go out for food. Everyone's very happy. He's sharing the news in the diner, isn't he? Marilyn's there. She's missed the call. Jet wanted to tell her himself, but she had her phone on silent. So she missed that. So she's feeling a little bit left out a bit here, Marilyn. She's a bit sort of, she's happy, but you can tell she's a little bit upset about something. And, she hasn't met Lindsay yet, so I think she feels a bit put out, that John's been going down there, he's been spending time and he's obviously sharing stories of meeting her, and she's really nice and all the rest of it. And she's feeling a little bit put out, isn't she? That she's never met. And now John's sort of agreed, well, proclaiming really that the low-key wedding that Jet said he wants, he's not going to have no boy of his have a registration. He's going to pay for the lot. Hello, like John's been paid.
Has John got any money left? Didn't he
He's been
get like?
watching this cash.
What about the fact that Susie robbed him blind?
Oh yeah, did that not come back?
Because do you remember they found some cash and they gave it back to Leah and Justin, didn't they? What was left? I don't think John got his money back, did he?
Yeah.
So
he's put the rent up in the
yeah.
garage now.
Oh, that's true. He's getting it back off Justin through the rent.
He's put the lease rent up.
Yeah, that's it. That'll be it.
Yeah, that must be. And so this surf club role must pay quite well. Mortgage free,
You must have a bank account in the Cayman Islands or something, I think.
Now Marilyn's saying you can't. No. You can't afford to pay. I'm not going to have you paying for it all. I want to contribute. Fair enough. That's absolutely fair thing. I thought.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be 50-50. At the end of the day, you're a Dana gal. Obviously,
she needs to pay what she can afford. Like her contribution just doesn't need to match John, because John's like, "Oh, I'm going to pay for the whole thing," and she's like, "Weddings are expensive, John."
Let her buy the bridesmaids' dresses or something. Do you know what I mean? Let her contribute. Yeah. She's got it in her head, though, hasn't she? That she wants to be there for a big time for him. So she says, "Irene, I need more money. I need more shifts. Any shifts you've got to go in, you tell me." And Irene sort of says, parenting's not a competition. You don't have to, match him. And so there's all that going on, isn't there, between the two of them? I always love an Irene and a Marilyn scene, so I quite enjoyed those. She says she needs this money quick. They're brainstorming ideas of how she can make some extra cash out. Like tarot reading, reboot the hair and makeup business, which personally I would like to see. Don't know about you.
Yes.
I used to love that.
A little salon.
The back of the diner again.
Yeah.
She needs a side hustle. It's her work, not mine. And she's online trying to find a second job, and she comes across one of these. I was going to say, is it a pyramid scheme type?
It sounds
thing?
like a scam, doesn't it, to me? But there we go. Yeah.
Organics, vegan, completely up Marilyn Street. I mean, it couldn't be anything else, could it? Vegan, organic, local, you name it. Nothing harmed during the making of this. And then, she signed herself up before she knows it. First delivery's on its way, and she's got to work out how she's going to sell these things. So, first of all, what we think, I mean, Marilyn, I'm worried here. Marilyn's gone through quite a lot lately.
Yeah.
And now I feel like she's delving into uncharted waters here. And I think she's already way out of her depth.
Yes, definitely. And we know, we've been here before, any, get rich quick stuff in Summer Bay, it always ends in disaster, doesn't it? I mean, the only people I can think of that have ever managed to pull it off are Ryder and Theo when they were doing the prank videos.
Yeah.
And they were getting paid for those. That was like an accidental thing. They weren't setting out to get rich, though, were they? Whereas everybody else, that's look at Mac and the Poker Nights, as recent as that last year. That went badly.
Yeah, there's a moral compass on this show, isn't there? The morality is shortcuts are always worse. You're never better off. The shortcut's the longest way around in the end. Type.
Yeah.
You see, just with these kind of stories,
they always get burned, don't they? I mean, I'm just expecting Marilyn to get way over her head. I can't predict what's going to happen, but I don't have a good feeling about this storyline.
I don't. At first, when it first was kicking off, I thought this could go two ways. It could be really comical. Marilyn trying to sell things and creams and lotions and potions and things. You know what I mean? Or it could be quite upsetting. And she workmate Kirby, she relies on Kirby, doesn't she, to help her teach her how to get traction online.
This is giving me PTSD to the time I tried to teach my dad what Instagram did. Oh my God, that's the day of my life I'm never getting back. What's the story?
You mean you can't? It's pictures.
What do you mean they can see what I've looked at? I was like, if you hit the little circle at the top here, they'll be able to tell that you've looked at that. What? Couldn't get their heads around that at all. Oh, what, they can see that I've looked? Yes, they can see that you've looked. I don't want that.
Better comb my hair.
Oh dear.
Oh, funny. Yeah, it was a bit like that, wasn't it? And it was quite funny. You know those scenes where she's back at Kirby's house and she's trying to record a video to go online. And Kirby's with all the lingo about followers and traction and you know, hits and click throughs and all the rest of it, and she's just like, rabbit in headlights. Yeah, she's going to end up being one of those annoying friends we all have, where they put you on a Facebook thing just to sell things at you, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Who is she going to sell this to? I mean, Kirby's right. She needs an online presence, doesn't she? Because really, selling this stuff in the Bay after the first box and she sold everybody one item, no one's going to want any more after that. She's not going to make. I don't really see how she thinks she's going to make thousands of dollars.
She's going to convince Mr. Stewart that the non-scented men's one makes him look 20 years younger.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. You know, once everyone's bought a body scrub or a moisturiser, they're going to be like, right, I've done my bit, Marilyn. I'm not funding Jet's wedding myself. So, yeah.
This got me thinking this. What's the worst thing on Facebook one of your friends has tried to sell you? Can you think of one?
Yes.
One if you want to think.
I can think of Herbalife, diet things. I'm constantly getting told. I mean, yes, I know I'm overweight. Thank you very much.
Everyone was Herbalife, wasn't there? There was somebody at work who did that. Yeah, have you seen that weight loss coffee?
Oh yes, yeah.
One. It was like she put us all on the page, and she's like putting videos on it. Morning, just had me morning coffee, and I'm not hungry at all.
And I've just spent 2 hours on the toilet. That's why I've lost weight.
I used to be like, in work, she'd be like, do you want a sample? I was like, it's coffee. Like, if I wake up hungry and I have a cup of coffee, and I'm not going to be hungry because it suppresses your appetite. There's nothing magic about this magic weight loss coffee. Like, it's coffee.
Yeah, just drink a coffee. Oh dear. I know. I've had a few in the past, and I've politely declined.
Marilyn's one of them. Perfumes was another one. There was one.
Oh yeah.
You know, perfume. It smells just like Paco Rabanne 1 million. Like,
but it's not. It's some cheap knockoff. Oh yeah.
It smells just like Lady Millions. I was like, right, okay.
It's called Lady Pound.
Full of it, I'm sure. But that's Marilyn starting up her own online business on Facebook or whatever, isn't it? Kirby's doing the socials for her, and you're just thinking she's either just going to get on everyone's nerves, it's going to be quite funny, or it's going to fall flat on its face. And I'm a bit worried it could go either way at the moment, and where the scales are going to tip. And if it goes bad, she's going to be really down on herself about the whole being able to provide for the wedding.
Yeah, she was down on herself with the whole. It's not been that long since we were trying to raise money for the soup kitchen. That was the last sort of get rich quick thing, and they didn't meet the target, did they? And she was really. I think they were $5,000 off, were they? And she was kicking herself for that because she'd promised them the truck, And now is she going to make big promises about funding this wedding? And she's, going to feel like she's let Jet down again, which is not the case. It's her putting the responsibility and the pressure on herself. No one else is putting that on her. John said to her, I'll pay the money, but I'll say it's from both of us.
Yeah, I know. This is it. It's a pride thing, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And she has the way of getting to me as well. So I always do feel that. So I'm a bit worried about what's going to happen here. I really am.
And she's not long been, she's had mental health episodes in the past, and this could be another knock, couldn't it? Let's face
really-
it. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see her get knocked on her ass again.
Yeah, you're right. However, a pyramid scheme is very Marilyn. Storyline is Marilyn. If it had to be
It is.
anything, this
Yeah.
could. It's
Yeah.
very fitting, isn't it? So I think she could do it really well,
Mm.
and I'm sure Emily will be amazing.
Yeah.
Turn her hand to anything, that woman. Right, over at the Morgan house, the best new character to ever be introduced into the show in recent months.
David.
Is that his name? I was going to say the lawyer man.
David, the lawyer. Yes.
Character of the week, this guy. I think I texted you, didn't I? I said he's a good character. He's come in and told them all what it's going to go. So he's come over to chat about his options, hasn't he, with Justin and Leah. It's decided quite quickly. Justin's pleading guilty. He says, "Look, I did it, and the police saw me do it. So, back to right.
Defense? Do I have a defense? No.
There is defense in the garden."
Yeah. Bang to rights, mate.
Now the lawyer thinks, based on what he's told at this point, he thinks the DPP will be quite lenient if he shows that he's remorseful, that he didn't want to whatever. He might be able to avoid jail, because at this point, the Morgan family are just in absolute disarray because Justin's going inside. Ava, Theo's currently half moved out, half not. It's just absolute carnage over there, isn't it, from all this fallout? So it's news to Leah and Justin's ears that they think he might be able to avoid jail time. So off the lawyer goes to speak to the DPP. I'm thinking, okay, hashtag I miss Morag. And then he comes back, because Morag would have been like,
I know.
Should have told him, wouldn't she? Comes back and he's not happy, is he, David, the lawyer? No. He's explaining it's a no-go. The DPP are not listening. They're not going for it. Van Guy is claiming psychological damage, not just, the fact that you're beaten to a pulp. It's a vicious attack. We'll say it again. Justin should have known that Ava was lying. Well, he did know that Ava was lying about stuff and hiding things, making things up. And we said it ourselves right here on Coastal News last week. When he jumped out of that car knowing that she was a right madam and was lying about everything to lure people, that he knew that the account used online, all that was kept from him, that it was an anonymous account. He knew that. They could argue in court that he didn't know that it was her, and things like that.
And he pointed out that the message went to Theo's account. So it came from I Heart Theo, which is anonymous. So we can't say for sure it's definitely Ava. And it went to Theo. So how did Justin end up there at the scene? Exactly. That's what the lawyer was like, this doesn't add up, mate. You're not telling me the truth.
You should have told me the truth. You made me look like a fool. I thought, yes. New favourite.
Now you're going down. It's going down.
To rights, my son.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good, is it, at all? And the prosecution sound like they're going for the jugular.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? I mean, at the end of the day, this innocent guy that tried to help a girl he didn't know, who's, said that she'd fallen out with her boyfriend and her dad doesn't like her and everything else, just wants to hang out for 5 minutes and chill. He's done nothing wrong. And he's been beaten in a car park. You just can't do that. And I would throw the book at him if I was on the other side.
You know me with this. I am absolutely spitting fire about this. I think his behaviour's been absolutely despicable. And I think he's still going around town later on in the week, because he's Rue's still talking to him, and I'm like, Rue, really? I'm skipping a bit here, but it makes sense to what I'm halfway through talking about it now, so I'll talk about it. But going around town and he's sort of saying to Alva, I need to sort out things, saying to John, I need to sort the lease out. And I'm thinking, all of you tell him to rack off. What? He might punch you.
Yeah.
He might put you in hospital and all any second now. He's never going to learn if he can just get away with it. And when I say get away with it, I don't mean like, by the law, or like criminally get away with it. I mean, like, community let him,
Yeah.
don't disown him, or they just accept that he's done it, and he, do you know what I mean? Like that he's still in the fold of the community, because he's quite an upstanding member, really. Justin, he's a business owner. He's been around for a long time. Everyone, is pally with him, and I think they shouldn't be.
No, I mean what they've done is they've taken his motive or his reason, and the reason being he thought his kid was in danger, and they've just gone, oh, okay, yeah, fine. That's still not okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Now he meets Ava and Rue after learning from the lawyer that it's not looking good. The court date is next week. It's not got as long as he thought until it's going to happen. And right, I'll try. Right, come on. Ava's all, Dad, I'm much better now, and I'm not going to do it again. And we've just got back together, Dad, and I can help you. And I'm thinking, how?
Yeah.
Literally, how can you help?
If you can't, it's too late. The horse is bolted. There's nothing that's going to help him now. The only thing she can do is back up the story and say, yeah, I told him a big fat lie, another big fat lie. But
even then, though, I still don't get it. If she goes and testifies, yeah, it was me, I lured him there, I lied. Okay, but still jumped out the van and beat him up.
Yeah, like she can't excuse that. I just don't get this at all. And also, where's the consequences for her? So, like, yeah,
exactly.
I don't get it. Like, she is the reason why he turned up at that place and beat that. She's not the reason why he chose to beat the guy up, but she is the reason why he was there beating that guy up, because he wouldn't have even known about this guy or done that without her. She needs to take some responsibility for herself for what's happened. I don't get this at all. I'm finding it really difficult.
I am, and instead, what happens? Exactly what we feared would. She's happy dappy. She's been accepted. She's now in the family. They're all fighting this charge together as a big unite. And when Justin tries to say to her, I think you best go back to your mum's, it's not looking. I can't be there the way you want me to be. Ugh. Honestly, shut up.
I know. No. I've got a lot of opinions to share with you later about this on You'll Say on the Bay.
I am not surprised. Oh, then I did it. It turns out I've done it all because basically my dad wasn't around.
And I'm jealous of Theo.
Yeah, my childhood. And I've now decided I'm no longer obsessed with Theo because my dad beat somebody up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pull the other one.
I don't get it at all. She's basically said, I don't actually fancy you, Theo. I was just jealous of you because you get to hang out with my dad. He's your band manager. He's your work colleague. He's your uncle. You live with him. I don't have any of these things. I was jealous. No. What? Really?
Isn't it?
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, I'm done playing games. I just want to be treated like an adult and, treat me like an adult. I'm 16. Even that scene where she said that she, when she agreed that she's going to go back to her mum's and Justin's about to drive her home and she goes, oh, no, I've made other plans. And he goes, oh, okay, like tries to ask her a question. She goes, oh, I'm an adult now. I can do what I want. Well, a week ago, you were not joyriding, hitchhiking with some guy and Justin beat the guy up, and now all of a sudden you've made plans to go home on your own and he hasn't asked you how. Like, for all we know, she's getting another hitchhiker car.
Yeah, I know, trying to rent a caravan.
I was like, I'm lost here. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling with this whole storyline.
It's awful.
I don't really understand why Justin's kicking her back home, because last week this all came to light. They made up after he got arrested. He came home and he said, look, I could be going to prison. I'll treat you like an adult. Let's go to the cop shop. Rose told all that stuff and said, yeah, he's looking at jail time and what have you. They got home and they made up, and Leah was looking through the door, wasn't she? She was seeing this conversation and she was saying, I just want to know my dad. And he was like, I just want to get to know my daughter. So they did this whole, let's start from scratch. Let's spend some time together. Let's get to know each other. Now, a week later, Justin might be going to prison, so he can't get to know his daughter. So all of a sudden, he's like, I don't want to get to know you while I've got 5 minutes. I want to send you back to your mum's. I was like, I'm really struggling with this whole story. Where are we going? I'm really struggling. Can't keep up.
Nothing else to add to that. I completely, wholeheartedly. Can I ask? Obviously, you and I are clearly the same page with this. Like, exasperating, absolutely, I
Yeah.
have it. And you've obviously, you mentioned in there on your say in the bay in a short while. You've got quite a lot. Are the comments generally our side the same as us? Is there anything coming through? You know, just for balance sake. You know,
I couldn't find any balance in that.
really?
I found the other stuff we're talking about, and you're saying the bay. I've managed to find people that see both sides. The
Yeah.
Ava one, I couldn't find anybody that. The only thing, well, I'll talk about it later. But the only thing I could think of, what people were saying, were they, she should stick around because we can't see any reason why not after the conversation last week. But nobody could really understand where the story was going, like the thread of it. The fact that it's just flipping from one episode. It's like someone's writing one episode saying, "Oh, stick around. I want to get to know my daughter," and then someone else is picking up the episode the next day and writing it, not having seen the script from yesterday, and gone, "Kick her back to her mum's. I can't look after her. I don't want to see." Because one day we're saying treat her like an adult. Tell her I'm going to court. Tell her I might go to prison. Next day, "Oh, I don't want her to see me go to prison, though, so send her back to her mum's." Well, are we treating her like an adult, or are we treating her like a child that needs to go back to her mum's? Are we getting to know her, or are we kicking her back to her mum's? I don't get it. And nobody else seems to have got their head around it either.
Yeah, lost the will to live. It's interesting that's telling. So it's not just me and you sort of being similar.
No.
Like, it's quite unanimous, because it is comforting to know that others see it the same way, I suppose, in that it's just it's beyond balmy. I just can't get on board at all with it. And I'm absolutely livid that he had to go to this ridiculous extreme. And now we're in a thing where we're having some pointless court case, pointless threat of jail, and she's gone back to mums anyway, which is pointless again. Like, anyway.
I can't deal with it. I'm glad she's gone, because I don't think I could deal with another day of looking at her face.
No, same. And she's all being all sweetie, nicey now. It's doing absolute. And I turn like she can turn it on and off at the flick. No.
Yeah.
Speaking of flick, let's move on. So Tani and Flick, they're back from their honeymoon.
I'm never gonna live that down. Am I? Sorry. Honeymoon.
Back from their honeymoon. Which sounds like it was spent with Gemma and his family, which was like the worst honeymoon ever.
Yeah, and loads of intrusive questions about, "You gonna change your name? Are you gonna be a wife? Are you gonna do it?" Sounds horrendous.
Who's gonna do the cooking?
Yeah, it sounded awful. That's not a honeymoon. Anyway.
No, it's not. And they're all lovey-dovey though, aren't they? They're all calm and serene, and sort of coming back down to earth. They're back in the bay, and they're trying to settle back into daily routine, having come off their honeymoon, and they're struggling a bit.
Well, one of them is.
You're just like, if it's too calm, she's got to create something. You know what I mean? Like,
she's bored, isn't she?
Yeah. Even the day they've spent in bed having a bit of afternoon delight, she's laying there awake, fidgeting with a ring, thinking, "What we're doing next? What we're doing now?" I'm just thinking, how about you lie in bed with your hot husband?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't be going anywhere. You'd have to peel me out of that bed to get me out. I'm sorry. It's not happening. I would not leave.
Silly girl.
Oh dear.
Not it, does she?
No.
And they go back, they try and go to work, they're checking and work, ton of bills. This is the moment it dawned on me that Mac's not even told her business partner. She just left the business to run it itself while she's been on holiday.
Yeah.
Tani's got plumbing issues down in the old.
Not surprised.
She turns around and says to him later on, "The magic's gone." And I thought, blooming hell, been back 24 hours. 24 hours, the magic's gone out of the marriage already. Were you rolling?
Yeah, I'm still haven't stopped rolling. Oh God. God, I'm so. If you were getting annoyed with that Ava storyline, this is the storyline that really got my back up this week, and I really was struggling to keep my eyes on the screen because I was literally rolling them back in my head. I just can't. I just can't. Like you say, what is wrong with her? Like, she's got everything. She's got more than a lot of people have got. She's happy. She's got a business. She's got, a loving family with Cash and Gary. There's nothing awful happening in Flick's life that I can think of. Yes, awful things have happened. Not taking that away from her. Awful things have happened in the past. But right now, things are pretty good for Flick. She doesn't really have a reason to moan. And yet she's still unhappy. Is it because she's bored? Is it because she hasn't got something horrible happening to her? She hasn't got a drama. She hasn't got something to moan about. That she's finding stuff to pick at, and it's like, stop picking at things that are not broken. I don't get it.
You're right. She's sort of creating stuff for creating's sake, isn't she?
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
she's going, I can't do this. I don't know how to be married. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand all the expectations. And he's like, what expectations? And she's like, changing my name. And he's like, well, I don't expect you to change your name, so that's not an expectation. Like, why are you creating problems that aren't there?
To be fair, once again, he handles it superbly, but he doesn't deserve this. He deserves to be happy as well and enjoy the moment, not having to talk the ledge all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
His ears
exhausted.
His ears when she says, "Oh, the magic's gone." So the next morning, he wakes up to a champagne poolside breakfast. I'm thinking, what? If this isn't magic, what is? Like,
and then he dared to call her his wife, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm your wife." I was like, "This is awful. This is so awful." Oh,
and then he's asking, I think we've got everything. We're everything. Why are you unhappy? And she's like,
"Yeah."
Oh, I'm like, yeah. Stop, AKA, stop being a miserable girl.
Yeah. Getting on my wick, Flick. Getting on my wick.
So
patience of a saint, that boy. Patience of a saint.
Calms her down by agreeing to do the cooking. She can keep her name. So let's go and have a day out at the beach, and everything's good. All's well.
Yeah.
What was that about?
I have no idea. I just think she wants to start a drama. I think when she said, like, the expectation to change my name, I think she was expecting him to say, oh, well, you have to take my name, so that they could have an argument and they could have a drama, and then she could be like, oh, we're having this argument. And then he just went, yeah, well, whatever, I don't care. You can be Felicity Newman for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter. As long as you're with me, as long as we're married and my wife, don't care what you call yourself. And I actually think she looked disappointed when he said that, because she was like, oh, it's not going to kick off. What else can I moan about? I'm losing it with this girl. Losing it. I cannot. Anyway.
I love it, though. I do like it.
It's my turn to have a whinge. Sorry. Oh, dear. Your ears are going to be bleeding after this episode. I'm sorry. Okay, now it's time for our favourite segment. So we're going to take a look now at your tweets, your comments and your reactions on social media, and see what you're making of all the shenanigans and all the goings on in Summer Bay right now. So this is your say on the Bay. But just before we crack on with that, we need to remind you that we are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're literally everywhere now. We're taking over the internet now. So search for Coastal News Podcast, or our account name, which is at Coastal News Pod. Find us, like us, subscribe to us, follow us, stalk us, poke us, whatever you want to do. We don't mind. We watch the show, for those that don't know, you should know this by now, guys, but we watch the show at 5-star pace, 6:30 p.m, and we tweet along with the episodes as well using the hashtag Home and Away on Twitter. So come and join in the conversation. If you see us tweeting, we've got quite a few regulars on there now on Twitter, so we have like a nice little place to chat about all things Home and Away with everybody else that's watching the show at the same time. So that's quite a nice little group to get in on. But if you're not on social media, we also have an email account, which we gave you at the top of this episode. It's coastalnewspod@gmail.com. So if you want to get in touch with us by email, give us your thoughts or ask us any questions, anything you want us to talk about on the podcast, do that. We love talking to you about anything home and away. And also go back to the beginning of this episode, because as I just said, we're doing a competition to give away a signed photograph from Ziggy and Dean themselves, Sophie Dillman and Paddy O'Connor. And at the beginning of this episode, we gave you a question to answer, and you have to email us your answer to that question if you want to win that photograph. So back to the debate. Right, I've been trawling through social media this week, and I've collected quite a number of comments actually from people about several of the storylines that we've seen. So because I've got quite a few, we're going to have to try and rattle through as many as we can, I think.
That's my warning. Okay.
Because I've got quite a few, and I think some of these are quite, they've picked up on stuff, which is quite interesting. So we might want to, do a segue, as we're good at segueing, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We like a segue. So first up, what did people think about Marley and Rose and their clashing over the Xander? Should we sit by his bed, or should we go and work and find the people that bashed him and his partner?
Are you camp copper or camp?
Yeah, camp bedside martyr.
Hey, right, but this is the first and last time I'll do this to you whilst you rattle through these comments. How sensitive is poor Xander?
Oh.
Only he would wake up possessed from a bit of anesthetic.
Apparently it's quite common. Because I was like half watching the episode, half tweeting on the hashtag, and half Googling delirium, anesthetic delirium in the week, and it does sound like it's quite common. But but it would.
I accidentally outed him on last week's episode and thought I need to just get sedated.
Maybe I actually thought about you all week, because you outed him as having Jamie as his fella. He's been saying partner all week, and every time he said my partner Jamie, I've just guffawed into my sleeve. I'm like trying to remember what you said last week when you outed him on the app. But yeah, sorry, total segue. We've segued already. How have we done?
Yeah, I apologise. Right, sorry, I'll shut up. Sorry, this is somebody else's say, not mine. Go on.
We love a segue. Right, let's get stuck in. So Marley and Rose, what do we think? So Laura on Facebook thinks they're both in the wrong. So she says he shouldn't judge her, and she should at least be a bit grateful because he stayed with Xander all night. So she's saying Marley shouldn't be judging Rose for her decisions, but also Rose not showing a lot of gratitude there for what Marley's done.
Actually, fair point. Thanks for staying with me.
Yeah, I can see both sides there. Like I said on the main episode, I feel a little bit like Marley's done this for selfish reasons. So I don't know whether I think being grateful is one thing. I think just being civil to him. I think the fact that she's spoken to him quite nastily this week, when he has done that thing for Xander, her brother, I think that was uncalled for, the way that she spoke to him.
Yeah.
But being like, oh, thank you so much, and going over the top grateful, I think would have been a bit much. But I can certainly take Laura's point, on board there. Cheryl's on Rose's side. So Cheryl says Rose was doing what she needs to do. Marley should respect that, even though it's not what he would have done. I think that's pretty much what we think, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I didn't start off like that, but yeah, that's where I've ended up.
I think quite a lot of people are seeing that. So Maeve said, I'd literally do anything in my power to protect my brother or to see justice. And I admire Rose for going do or die for her brother. Yeah. When you start thinking like that, like what you would do for your... I mean, I'm not a cop. And what I think I was saying on the episode earlier was, if I was a cop and someone had hurt my brother, and someone said, he's out of surgery, he's stable, he's just sedated, he's not going to wake up for a few days till they get the anaesthetic out of his body, I would go to work and I would want to find the person that did that to him, and I wouldn't want to leave it to someone else to mess up and lose any trace of this person. I'd want a decent shot at being able to find them. I think I would do.
That's admirable.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I'm not like you, but what I am is a mad ass. So... I think I've watched a lot of soap operas. I think I'd be at the hospital going to the police. Get out there and do your bloody job.
Oh yeah, that's what. If I wasn't a cop, I'd be doing that. I'd be saying, why aren't you going and doing more? Why are you coming to talk to me? Go and do your bloody job. Go and catch the crims. But if I had any power over being able to find them myself, I'd be finding them myself because I wouldn't trust
Is
anybody else to do it.
up too close to it, don't you? I mean, look at how she was screaming at him in the interview. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's it's a fine line, isn't there, really? But you can understand her reasoning for wanting to do it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't. Like I say, I'm a control freak at work. I don't trust anybody else to do my work for me, so I'd have to do it. I'd have to go and find them. But that says more about me than Rose, I think. Cheryl's not happy with Marley. She says he can do better. I'm sorry, she can do better. Rose can do better. Marley is so controlling. He has no right to tell her how to react and how to behave. Also, he doesn't like the fact that she's a cop, and I think she likes him more than he likes her. There's quite a lot there to unpack there, Cheryl. So she thinks Rose can do better. Marley's controlling, and we talked about this last week. He doesn't like cops. We think that as well, don't we?
So is this a convenient excuse?
Or is this just more of that coming to light? Because that was like, I don't like cops, I'm not going to go out with you. The next day it was like, oh, okay, I'll get over it. It was a bit strange.
Yeah, not again. Yeah. And this whole interview with Irene thing, is there anything else? Is that it? Is there nothing else? And I'm thinking, there is. Copper. There's an underlying tone of something going on. There's you
can't just sweep that under the carpet. We remember that, don't we? So and obviously Cheryl remembers it as well. And then this last line, so I think she likes him more than he likes her.
I'd not considered that, but that has got me thinking, actually, Cheryl. Yeah, I can see that, actually.
I can see it now. I hadn't thought about it before, but I can definitely see the point that she's making there. It does seem that way, doesn't it? That she's doing all the running and he's doing all the ugh.
Yeah. And she had to start into it initially anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was like, oh, please go out with me. I know I'm a cop, but please. And she was a bit weird, actually, wasn't it, the way she went about that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on that, I think. Fizzle watch, maybe, if they do get back together.
I'll have to find that jingle. I don't know where it went.
I think we might need to record that again. There we go. Right, Kerry says Marley is a do-gooder. He annoys me so much. I liked him at the start, but they always spoil good characters. Yeah, do-gooder. That's like I said in the week to you, didn't I? I was like, he's a martyr.
Yeah, that's along the same lines as you.
Yeah. We liked him in the start as well. In fact, we liked him straight off, didn't we?
Yeah, but is he losing?
But now, getting annoyed with him, aren't we?
Losing us. Yeah, that's not good for your character. You're trying to get established on a long-running show like this.
Yeah.
You just on board. Or at least start off with us hating you and win us over. You don't start off this way and then lose us because, well, like you just said, we never forget.
No, we don't. Okay, well, looking at the other side of the fence, so that was all the people saying, we're on the side with Rose, she's right. There are people that are siding with Marley. So Debbie says she treated him like dirt, and I'm glad he dumped her.
Oh, right.
Wow, not mincing my words. I can see Debbie's point of view because, like I said earlier, I do think they're both a bit shitty, really, for the way that they've been talking to each other and the way they've been interacting and the way that they say, I'm right, no, you're wrong. Oh, why do you think you're right and I'm wrong? It's horrible. They're more like they're fighting like their siblings, aren't they? The fight, when you have a fight with your kid brother or your kid sister when you're younger and you're like, oh, you're wrong. It's really petty, isn't it? And that's how they've kind of been fighting. They've not been going, okay, see my point of view, this is where I'm coming from. They're not being rational adults. They're like, oh, it's very kiddie, and I don't like the way they've been talking to each other, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I concur.
So Debbie thinks that she treated him like dirt. So I can see where she's coming from on that point of view. We've had a comment from Rose, not the Rose. But you'd think it was because she's put, come and see me, Marley. I'll look after you, winky face. So someone's a Marley fan. And Sarah 30th floor on Twitter said, I'm with Marley on this one. And Jamie came back and said, I'm with Rose. Catch the bastards. She's got the resources as a cop, and the doctors are there to look after Xander. He's sedated anyway.
This was your argument as well, wasn't it? Just to reiterate that, you know, he was sedated anyway. He was through the worst of it. Go for it, girl.
Just try and find him.
It's a right mixed bag, this. Tell you.
And then Mr. David 885 on Twitter said, Marley seems like a really good friend, but he'd be horrible as a partner. Just because his family are joined at the hip, it doesn't mean everyone else is like that. Do better, Marley.
This is what I was saying. His family are way too involved. You know, you'd never have him to yourself, would you? He'd always be putting someone else before you.
He's got a knight in shining armor complex, hasn't he? But
yeah, this podcast experience has really made me hate him.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't have disliked him so much if I was just watching the show and not doing this.
We're really dissecting him, aren't we, and trying to work out what his problem is.
Yeah, we painted him out to be a right one here, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, that's pretty much what everyone was saying on Twitter and Facebook. And quite a lot of people just generally commenting on, you know, who's right and who's wrong, but everybody agreeing that really petty excuse, you know, really petty thing to break up over, and there's got to be more to it because it just seems so trivial. The reason why they you know, oh, I want to be with someone who thinks like me. Well, that's really close-minded.
Yeah, got to be. It's got to be something else. If it's just that, it's unbelievable. Literally unbelievable.
Literally unbelievable.
Cannot believe it. Refuse to believe.
Yeah. Well, let's part Marley and Rose, and I was going to say let's get our blood pressure down, but actually our blood pressure might go up again because the next topic of conversation is Ava. Or Ava the Brat, as everyone is calling her on Facebook and Twitter. So Ava's leaving was obviously something that everyone's been talking about. Lots of comments, kind of split. We've got lots of comments from people who were really glad to see the back of her, such as lovely Julie, who I talked to on Twitter quite a lot. So Julie said, good riddance.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta, don't let the door hit you on the way out, or whatever it is. And Jamie also said, I also think it's a great idea that Ava pisses off back to her mum's. So Julie and Jamie, they're both quite happy to see the back of Ava. But there is quite a lot of people questioning, I think I said this on the pod, there's quite a lot of people questioning why Justin has had a sort of 360. Last week, he was saying to her, I want to get to know my daughter. And this week he's saying, oh God, send her back to her mum's, I might go to jail. Last week he was saying, oh, I want to treat you like an adult. You know, I'll get Rose to explain to you that I might go to prison and this is really serious charge, etc. This week, oh, I don't want you to see all that. Go back to your mum's. So there's a real there's a real number of people going, what on earth? I'm like, I can't keep up with this. But Margaret on Facebook had a theory, which I thought I'd share with you guys. So Margaret says Justin wants to get rid of Ava because she's a reminder of his own weaknesses.
Oh.
I thought that was interesting.
It's interesting. And yeah, actually, I suppose so, because I don't think it's that, but I can see the train of thought there, which I have to pause again, because obviously she's a reminder of what he's
done. Yeah. He could be an animal and you know, beat someone to a pulp.
Yeah, and also like the whole resolution to her psychosis was you know, daddy issues, wasn't it? So like, is he taking on some of that blame? You know, I've made her like that, so I've caused it in a way, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting, but I actually think it's a bit more surface level. Actually, I think it's a bit more, you know, I'm probably going to be going inside, and I don't want you around to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much Justin's aware of his thoughts, I'll be honest. He's not the brightest bulb in the box, is he? Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. Lorraine on Facebook said, I think little Madam Ava should stay in the Bay and she should be forced to visit her dad in prison every day, seeing as it's her fault that he's in this situation. Lorraine, you crack me up. That's brilliant. So yeah, toss her down to the prison every day to say hello to Daddy, and then that'll sort her out. Oh dear. Teresa said, how Ava's got the cheek to try and blame anyone else for what's happened is beyond me. Justin needs to stop giving her the soft touch. She's a brat.
A brat again.
Brat. The word brat was coming up a lot this week. If you search for Ava and brat.
It's funny though. You don't a brat you associate with a young person, a child. You don't
a little kid.
associate brat behaviour with an adult, despite us repeatedly being told, I'm being treated by an adult. I'll call her a brat because she's like a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Go hand in hand, don't they? Teresa also wanted to know who is running the garage. Now we had a little snippet of talking about the garage tonight, didn't we? In 6:30 on 5-Star Friday episode, where Justin's planning his demise, planning to go to prison and worrying about what's going to happen with the garage, talking to John about possibly, letting go of the lease because he can't run the garage while he's in prison. But no one is actually keeping the lights on at the garage at the moment because Ziggy's gone. She's gone to Queensland. Theo's apprenticeship, we learned tonight, is on hold and he doesn't actually want to carry on with it. And Justin, we haven't seen him go to work for ages. So I don't know who is running the garage at the moment. That's a good point, Teresa.
Yeah, Jenny at Teresa.
And then Sue said, Justin really needs to get control of his temper, and I don't want to see him go to prison over his psycho daughter. So there's some sympathy there, Sue, that she doesn't want this to be the downfall of Justin. What do we think?
I'm sorry.
Do you want him to get his comeuppance?
Yeah. I think he needs to, pay for what he's done. He was wrong, regardless of why he did it and what the circumstances surrounding him ending up doing it was.
And he's done it before.
Yeah, he's done it before, and he's capable of it, and that and he's. If you put yourself in Van Guy's shoes, you want the key thrown away.
You would, yeah.
So, and I don't think it should be any different because Justin is who he is.
No. And
that's what
he had to admit that. Yeah, he had to admit that to his lawyer, didn't he, this week to David? He had to, because David said to him, have you got any other convictions? He goes, no, I was arrested for assault. And David said, well, were you charged? And he said, no. So he's got away with it before. So he shouldn't really get away with it this time, should he? He should be facing consequences, going to, well, I don't know whether...
this has just come to me. Theo has come home where his dad battered him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
true.
he's, but it's okay here with Justin doing it.
Because it's a stranger and he had a reason. Yeah, it's not cool.
Right. Yeah, it's not right. Right, I'm off
again. Okay, let's draw a line under Justin before we get more cross. And let's pump up the blood pressure even more. And talk about Flick and her marriage whinging.
Come on, this is more you. You'll be kicking off here.
This makes me roll my eyes. But yes, let's have a look what people think. So Carly said on Facebook, the trouble with Flick is that she acts like a 13-year-old. She expects every day to be fun, and life just isn't like that. It's time she grew up. I think she's right.
She does act Neanderthal, doesn't she? A bit juvenile.
She does seem to expect that every day is going to be like fun, party, and it's just not. It's just life isn't.
Let's go to the cocktail lounge in Yabby Creek.
Yeah.
No one's ever been there.
OTT. Never heard of it before, actually. The cocktail lounge in Yabby Creek. Yeah, I think you're right, Carly. I think I'm really annoyed that we've come this far with Flick, really, because I really liked her. I think I still do like her, but I'm exasperated by the way that she's being written at the moment. I'm exasperated by this adrenaline junkie side of her, that she needs drama and she needs high octane and she needs like party all the time, and she can't just have a normal scene for
Yeah,
5 minutes. It's like
yeah,
she always has to be, something's happened even though nothing's happened.
yeah, yeah.
So I agree.
Exhausting it is. It's exhausting.
It is. And then a few, like, lots of comments. So Sheila, she gets on my last nerve. Nothing is ever good enough for her. Pauline, will she ever be satisfied? Doris on Facebook says, all she ever does is bring him to bed. And she's only just married and she's already bored. There was quite a lot of comments on how often these two end up in the sack, actually, because Sharon on Facebook also said, I think Tane is lovely, but I'm fed up of them jumping into bed every 2 minutes. And Debbie replied to that and she put, yeah, they're like bloody rabbits on heat.
Honestly, they're just giving us what we want to see.
Well, yeah, and a few people were
I'm
saying
fine
that as
with it.
well. So Sharon was like, oh my God, I'm fed up of it. And Debbie was like, they're like rabbits on heat. Sophie, not me, I'll put forward. Sophie said, they're a normal couple. Everyone does it. They're just a normal couple. I just sound like me, actually. I could have
Yeah,
written that.
you're talking about yourself in the third person.
It wasn't me, I promise. And then Stuart chipped in and said, sounds like you're jealous, Sharon.
So I was just about to say that Sharon's not getting laid very often. Let's cut that out.
We just outed Sharon on the pod.
Sharon,
dear.
come on. You'd be absolutely gutted if Tane never got his kit off or never,
Oh God, you would. You'd be like, whoa, what's wrong with me?
You'd love it, Sharon.
Yeah. And then Kimberly said, and Kimberly's kind of pointed it out, really. So her character is getting so annoying. Please make her happy with what she's got. She's got more than most people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
yeah.
I was thinking about this, when we looked at the trailer for next week tonight. So on Friday's 5-star 6:30 p.m. it showed at the end Max coming back. Thank God.
I know,
Max
yeah.
coming back, and Flick immediately is like, "Oh, I got married to Tane," and Max like, "Well, if you think about it from her point of view, no matter what we think of Gabe, Mac is in love with Gabe and she wants to be with him, but he's dying and he's terminally ill.
Yeah.
There's no helping him, and all she wants to be is be with him and spend time with him, and he's dumped her. And Flick's there, married to the love of her life. He absolutely adores the bones of her, and she's bored and fed up and saying the magic's gone. And when you compare the two, she has got everything and she's taken it for granted, hasn't she?
Then sort of rubbing it in Mac's face a bit, and back to that selfishness that is fundamental, really, to Flick's character.
It is.
Because she's quite often inconsiderate of other people and quite wrapped up in herself, isn't she? And this is Mac's one of her best friends in the Bay, business partner, work very close with her. You would absolutely, as a newlywed or not, be concerned about her and her welfare given what she's going through. And you would answer questions about the wedding and your honeymoon once you sort of knew she was okay, knowing that she's out of town, announced, upset, like that is really, really, really poor form, if you ask me.
It is, yeah. I think we'll see more of that next week, and it looks like Mac's really struggling, doesn't it? So I hope that's a kind of, it brings Flick back down to earth. I hope Mac tells her, what's going on, and I hope Flick realizes, maybe she takes stock then and thinks, do you know what, I've got nothing to moan about, and other people have got things going on that sort of make my problems look ridiculous. So I'm hoping something comes of this, because we can't have another week of her going, oh, the magic's gone. I think I will turn it off. So I think a lot of people will, from what I've read on Facebook as well. I thought, because we've done a lot of whinging about Marley Rose, Ava and Flick in the last sort of 15 minutes, I thought we'd end on something a bit more. You remember last week Marvin won our comment of the week on Your Say on the Bay. I think he said something about if Flick gets kidnapped by pirates 10 minutes before the wedding, I'm done with the show.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Marvin is obviously a long-term fan because he's got a comment on Marilyn's new business venture, the Stunning Organics enterprise that she's setting up. So Marvin said, if we know Maz, she's going to end up way over her head. And I could already hear Irene saying, geez, girlie, how many flipping boxes did you order? And I thought that just summed it up, really. That's exactly kind of what I was thinking when I was watching that storyline play out. I was like, oh, God. Marilyn.
Rocks in your head, girlie.
Rocks in your head? Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.